Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Munun Bhattacharya, coming up in the next hour. On the second day of his visit, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi to meet Kuwaiti leadership to chalk out a roadmap for a futuristic partnership. Big relief for US citizens ahead of Christmas. Government shutdown averted as President Biden signs funding bill into law. Ukraine replicates 9/11 style attack on Russia, hits high-rise buildings in Kazan, massive fire erupts. US carries out series of airstrikes against Houthis in Yemen within hours of Houthis firing a ballistic missile at Israel. And in cricket, Under-19 Women's Asia Cup final, Trisha's 52-run knock helps India post a total of 118 runs as target for Bangladesh in Kuala Lumpur. First up, news on Prime Minister Narendra Modi's two-day visit to Kuwait. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who is on a visit to Kuwait, a first for any Indian premier in 43 years, will meet the Amir, the Crown Prince and the Prime Minister of Kuwait today. The meeting between the Prime Minister and Kuwaiti leadership would be an opportunity to chalk out a roadmap for a futuristic partnership for the benefit of the people and the region. PM Modi's visit aims at strengthening the India-Kuwait friendship across various sectors and deepening India's historical linkages with Kuwait as the two nations have shared interest in peace, security and stability in West Asia. Earlier on Saturday, the Prime Minister addressed a massive gathering of the Indian diaspora at a special event named Hala Modi at the Sheikh Saad Al Abdullah Indoor Sports Complex in the city. Indian nationals representing a cross-section of the community in Kuwait attended the event. Prime Minister Modi was welcomed by the community with exceptional warmth and enthusiasm. Addressing the Indian diaspora event, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi said India and Kuwait share a relationship rooted in civilization and mutual affection.
भारत और कुवैत का रिश्ता सभ्यताओं का है, सागर का है, स्नेह का है, व्यापार कारोबार का है। भारत और कुवैत अरब सागर के दो किनारों पर बसे। हमें सिर्फ डिप्लोमेसी ने ही नहीं कि दिलों ने आपस में जोड़ा है।
Prime Minister Modi highlighted that Kuwait helped India when it needed the most by providing liquid oxygen to the country. PM Modi added that India too supported Kuwait during the COVID-19 pandemic by sending vaccines.
जब भारत को सबसे ज्यादा जरूरत पड़ी तो कुवैत ने हिंदुस्तान को लिक्विड ऑक्सीजन की सप्लाई दी। हिज हाइनेस द क्राउन प्रिंस ने खुद आगे आकर सबको तेजी से काम करने के लिए प्रेरित किया। मुझे संतोष है कि भारत ने भी कुवैत को वैक्सीन भेजकर इस संकट से लड़ने का साहस दिया। भारत ने अपने पोर्ट्स खुले रखे, ताकि कुवैत और इसके आसपास के क्षेत्रों में खाने पीने की चीजों का कोई अभाव ना हो।
Applauding the country's achievements, Prime Minister Modi said that India is the fifth largest economy in the world. It is home to the world's #1 fintech ecosystem and the third largest startup ecosystem globally.
आज भारत दुनिया की 5वीं सबसे बड़ी इकोनॉमी है। आज दुनिया का नंबर 1 फिनटेक इकोसिस्टम भारत में है। आज दुनिया का तीसरा सबसे बड़ा स्टार्टअप इकोसिस्टम भारत में है। आज भारत दुनिया का दूसरा सबसे बड़ा मोबाइल निर्माता देश है। मैं आपको एक आंकड़ा देता हूं और सुनकर आपको भी अच्छा लगेगा। बीते 10 साल में भारत ने जितना ऑप्टिकल फाइबर बिछाया है, भारत में जितना ऑप्टिकल फाइबर बिछाया है, उसकी लंबाई वो धरती और चंद्रमा की दूरी से भी 8 गुना अधिक है।
Prime Minister Modi also highlighted that countries around the world are opening their doors to India's skilled workforce.
भारत ने हाल के वर्षों में करीब 2 दर्जन देशों के साथ माइग्रेशन और रोजगार से जुड़े समझौते किए। इनमें गल्फ कंट्रीज के अलावा जापान, ऑस्ट्रेलिया, फ्रांस, जर्मनी, मॉरिशस, यूके और इटली जैसे देश शामिल हैं। दुनिया के देश भी भारत की स्किल्ड मैन पावर के लिए दरवाजे खोल रहे हैं। साथियों, विदेशों में जो भारतीय काम कर रहे हैं, उनके वेलफेयर और सुविधाओं के लिए भी अनेक देशों से समझौते किए जा रहे हैं।
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi also emphasized the strong trade and cultural ties between India and Kuwait during the ongoing visit to the Gulf nation. Speaking to Kuwait's news agency Kuna on Saturday, PM Modi highlighted the steady growth in bilateral trade and the deep-rooted relationship between the two countries, which he described as both dynamic and historic. PM Modi highlighted key areas of cooperation such as energy, trade diversification and innovation, while urging businesses and entrepreneurs from both the countries to collaborate further. Prime Minister Modi also noted the significant contributions of the Indian expatriate community in Kuwait's development, emphasizing their role as a bridge between the two nations. And Akshay Dongre, our correspondent, is now joining us live from Kuwait City. Akshay, what can we expect on day 2 of PM Modi's visit to Kuwait, and what are the existing and new areas of cooperation where we can expect forward movement?
A very good morning, Munmun. We saw a very hectic in a way day for the Prime Minister. He landed here in Kuwait City. He had his engagements with the Indian diaspora. He had his engagement with the workers of from Indian community. People from all across the country who are here serving the Kuwaiti society met with the Prime Minister. They engaged with the Prime Minister, spoke with him, shared their thoughts as well. And Prime Minister also visited the sports engagements that were here, that were lined up along with the Hala Modi event that was organized by the Indian diaspora here. In fact, it was not just the Indian diaspora but also the Kuwaiti nationals who attended the event said that they were very pleased at the arrival of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and it was once in a lifetime opportunity for most of the Indian diaspora people, as an Indian Prime Minister has arrived in the country after a gap of 43 years. So after the lively day yesterday. Today will also be quite an important day as far as engagements are concerned for the Prime Minister, because besides the events with the Indian diaspora that took place yesterday, today's day will be full of official engagements. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be going to the Bayan Palace, where he is going to meet with the Emir of Kuwait. He will also be holding discussions with the Crown Prince of Kuwait, and after that there will be a meeting of the Prime Minister with his counterpart, the Prime Minister of Kuwait. That will also take place at the Palace of Kuwait. Now, after the engagements with these three leaders, there will be signing up of MOUs. Now, coming to your second question about the existing and the future areas of cooperation that can take place between the two countries, then clearly we have been talking about how trade has been picking up when it comes to India's energy security needs. Kuwait is the 6th largest supplier of crude oil and the 4th largest supplier of LPG, besides being one of the largest trade partner of India as well. So there are going to be a range of discussions as far as trade is concerned. Besides the energy security needs, there will be there are likely to be engagements on the education sector, healthcare sector. There is pharmaceutical industry that is working in close cooperation with the Kuwaiti pharmaceutical industry. Besides this pharmaceutical industry, trade, healthcare and education, sports is going to be one key area of interest. IT industry is a very lucrative spot where the Kuwaiti society has been planning on investing more. Prime Minister has already talked about how India is the 2nd largest manufacturer of mobile phones. It is 5th largest economy, soon to be the 4th largest economy in the world. So the Kuwaiti society is viewing India as a golden spot when it comes to investment. In fact, the Kuwaiti Investment Authority has invested over $10 billion when it comes to the last fiscal year, and that says a lot as far as our Kuwaiti interests are concerned in the Indian market. And with the arrival of Prime Minister, clearly we can expect this trade and investment to grow multifold, and that is going to be one key area of focus as far as the engagement of today are concerned. But besides the trade and the investments and engagements, diaspora is also going to be one key issue when it comes to the engagement and discussions between the two leaders. Now, we are talking about a 1 million strong Indian diaspora, that is the largest expatriate community here in Kuwait, and people-to-people connect has always been the bedrock as far as the two countries are concerned. It is the living bridge that has been keeping Kuwait and India connected, and the relations warm between the two countries. So the issues that the Indian expatriate community has faced over the past several decades, that is going to be one key area of focus when it comes to the engagements between the two leaderships.
Okay. Akshay, Kuwait, we know, is the chair of the Gulf Cooperation Council, which includes 6 Gulf countries. Kuwait is also known for its policy of neutrality in the region. Absolutely. And has a non-aligned foreign policy. So how could this visit of PM Modi cement ties between India and the Gulf region?
Well, Munmun, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has visited in the past all the Gulf countries, and it was just Kuwait that was left. People, not just the Indian diaspora, but even the Kuwaiti people we spoke with, said that Prime Minister Narendra Modi has come to Kuwait now, and this is in fact a new chapter as far as the relation between the two countries is concerned. So you have rightly mentioned that that Kuwait right now is the chair of GCC. Now GCC remains a very key region as far as India's security, energy security is concerned, and with direct engagements with the Kuwaiti leadership, this relationship between the two countries is going to be in key focus, along with relation with the Gulf countries as well, the GCC nations. So we can expect with the direct engagements of the leadership, especially here in Kuwait City, PM Modi will also be pushing for closer ties with the GCC nations, closer ties with Kuwaiti leadership, as well as the industries between the two countries. So the relation between the two countries, in fact, started cementing at the moment Prime Minister Narendra Modi announced that he will be coming at the invitation of the Emir of Kuwait, and as soon as he arrived, we saw a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of excitement here and the Kuwaiti industry partners as well. So the relations have already improved, but with the signing up of MOUs, signing up of these formal declarations of engagements, we can expect the trade to increase in the next few years, in the next coming years, the people-to-people connect to improve as well, the Indian diaspora to be strengthened here in Kuwait with better employment opportunities and better working environment as well. Back to you.
We'll leave it at that. Akshay Dongre reporting from Kuwait City. Indian Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri is in Mauritius on a 3-day visit, marking the first high-level bilateral engagement between India and Mauritius following the formation of the new government led by Prime Minister Naveen Ramgoola. During the visit, the Foreign Secretary met the former Prime Minister of Mauritius, Pravind Kumar Jugnauth. Discussions were held covering the special nature of India-Mauritius ties and the people-focused nature of the development partnership. The Foreign Secretary Misri also met Deputy Prime Minister of Mauritius and discussed ways for consolidating the truly exceptional bilateral ties. Still to come on DD India News Hour. India condemns Christmas market attack in Germany in which 7 Indians sustained injuries. 38 people die in a major road mishap in Brazil. And new US military aid to Taiwan irks China. You're watching DD India News Hour with me, Munmun Bhattacharya. US President Joe Biden signed the government funding bill on Saturday, averting a Christmas-time government shutdown after successful negotiations between Republicans and Democrats in both houses of the US Congress. In a statement, Biden highlighted the bill includes disaster relief and avoids an accelerated pathway to a tax cut for billionaires. The Democratic-controlled Senate, in an 85-11 vote, passed the bill to continue government funding 38 minutes after it expired at midnight. But the government did not invoke shutdown procedures in the interim. The package had earlier cleared the Republican-controlled House of Representatives with bipartisan support. The late-night vote capped a frenetic week that saw President-elect Donald Trump and his ally Elon Musk defeat an initial bipartisan deal, throwing the US Congress into disarray. If the funding bill had failed, non-essential government functions would have been put on ice. Employees in key services like law enforcement would have continued working, but would only have been paid once government functions were back up. The United States military says it bombed a missile storage facility and a command and control facility operated by Houthis in Yemen's Sana'a on Saturday. US Central Command forces said that the attack aimed to suspend Houthi operations, such as attacks against US naval warships and merchant vessels in the southern Red Sea, Bab al-Mandeb and Gulf of Aden. Adding further, it said that the forces also in fact said that it struck multiple Houthi drones and an anti-ship cruise missile over the Red Sea. The attack came within hours of the Houthis firing a ballistic missile at Israel, which injured more than a dozen people in a Tel Aviv park. Syria's new rulers have appointed Murhaf Abu Kasra, a key leader in the uprising that ended Bashar al-Assad's rule, as defense minister, an official source said on Saturday. Abu Kasra is a senior leader in Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, or HTS, the Islamist group that spearheaded Assad's recent ousting. The announcement follows intense discussions led by Syria's de facto leader Ahmed al-Shara on shaping the nation's military future. Prime Minister Mohammed al-Bashir vowed to rebuild the defense ministry with rebel factions and defectors as Syria begins a fragile 3-month transitional phase. Turkey has issued a stern warning, with Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan vowing to take whatever it takes to safeguard national security if Syria's new administration fails to curb US-backed Kurdish groups Ankara deems terrorist threats. Turkey views the People's Protection Units leading the Syrian Democratic Forces as an offshoot of the Kurdistan Workers' Party, which has waged a 40-year-long insurgency against the Turkish state. Tensions have spiked since Bashar al-Assad's fall, with Turkey seizing Manjib on the 9th of December alongside Syrian allies. In an interview with France 24, Fidan urged Syria's new leaders to disband the YPG but hinted at military action if Ankara's demands remain unmet. As the United States increases its troop presence, Fidan dismissed the fight against Islamic State as a pretext for supporting the SDF. China has criticized the new U.S. military aid to Taiwan on Sunday, saying the $571 million package seriously violates the One China principle and provisions of joint communiques between China and the United States. As per the ministry's release, China will take all necessary measures to protect its sovereignty and territorial integrity, calling Taiwan a red line that must not be crossed in China-U.S. relations. The White House said on Friday that Biden had authorized the drawdown of up to $571.3 million in defense articles and services of the Department of Defense and military education and training to provide assistance to Taiwan. Moving on to updates from Germany, where authorities have identified a Saudi Arabian man with a history of anti-Islam rhetoric as the suspected driver in a car ramming attack at a Christmas market in Magdeburg, which killed 5 people. The suspect is a 50-year-old Saudi psychiatrist, Taleb Jawad al-Abdul Mohsen, who has lived in Germany for almost 2 decades. He was arrested at the scene, ending a bloody attack that injured hundreds in just 3 minutes. The motivation of the suspect may have been disgruntlement with the way Saudi Arabian refugees are treated in Germany, as per a prosecutor. City officials further announced that the Christmas market will remain closed this year. A 9-year-old child and 4 adults were killed in the attack, and some 200 people were wounded, 41 of whom had either serious or critical injuries, meaning the death toll could increase. 7 Indians were injured in the attack, while 3 of them have been discharged from hospital. The Indian embassy is in touch with all the injured Indians. India has condemned the horrific and senseless attack. A tragic fire accident was reported in Brazil on Sunday, where a bus with 45 passengers on board collided with a truck, and the accident took place in the Brazilian state of Minas Gerais. According to the officials, 38 people have died, while the others injured remained in critical condition after being transported to a local hospital. However, the cause of the accident is yet to be known and a probe is underway. Initially, firefighters reported the bus had a tire blowout, causing the driver to lose control before colliding at around 4 a.m. local time with an incoming truck. A charity event turned into a bane for Nigerians on Saturday after 2 major stampedes due to excessive crowd, leading to deaths of multiple people. In the state capital Abuja, at least 10 people died and many more were injured in a scramble to receive gifts of charity being distributed by the Holy Trinity Catholic Church. Also, while in Anambra State, a crowd crush occurred after a member of the community offered gifts including rice, vegetable oil and money. The 2 accidents came days after another such stampede in Africa's most populous country. This is amidst a growing trend by local organizations, churches and individuals to organize charity events ahead of Christmas as the country struggles with the worst cost of living crisis in a generation. French President Emmanuel Macron arrived in Ethiopia, where Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed sought support for Ethiopia's ambition to access the Red Sea. At a joint press conference, Macron called Ethiopia's request legitimate and urged dialogue to foster regional peace. The issue has intensified tensions between Ethiopia and Somalia, which fractured earlier this year over Ethiopia's plan to build a port in Somaliland, a breakaway Somali region seeking international recognition since 1991. Ethiopia, a landlocked nation with troops in Somalia fighting insurgents, proposed recognizing Somaliland's independence in exchange for access to strategic coastal land. Somalia firmly opposes this, adding urgency to Macron's mediation efforts as the Red Sea remains a pivotal point of contention.
Nous avons aussi évoqué les questions régionales.
I encourage the continuation of dialogue to permanently calm the situation in the Horn of Africa while respecting the sovereignty of each party. But what the Prime Minister said about access to the Red Sea, the need for Ethiopia to diversify its access to have control of its destiny in a very difficult region environment is a legitimate request, and France wishes she can play a role and with a lot of humility help the diversification process through dialogue.
Régionales ô combien difficiles.
A massive bushfire continues to burn out of control in Australia's Victoria, prompting evacuations with no end to the fire in sight. The order to leave immediately, set at the highest danger rating, remained in place for the fire in and around Grampians National Park, about 149 miles west of state capital Melbourne. The country's fire authority issued a warning that the out-of-control bushfire will continue to burn for days. The blaze, sparked on Tuesday by lightning, prompted authorities on Saturday to urge residents of several rural towns such as Halls Gap to evacuate. A look now at some other stories making news around the world. At a weightlifting competition in Taipei dedicated to seniors aged 70 and above, 90-year-old Cheng Chen Chin Mei proved that age is just a number. With a radiant smile and a confident wave to the cheering crowd, she approached the barbell with unwavering determination. To the awe and applause of onlookers, she deadlifted an impressive 77 pounds, becoming a symbol of healthy aging. The Wild Animal Protection and Rehabilitation Center Hospital in Turkey this year treated 500 wild animals and released them to their natural habitats. Each of these animals was carefully nursed back to health and released into its natural habitat, marking a significant step in preserving biodiversity. The program is part of studies that are carried out in order to maintain the continuity of wildlife and protect animals. A rare sight of whales attract scientists in Guangxi Zhuang. This period, usually spanning from December this year to April next year, sees the whales foraging and nurturing their young near the island. This timeline aligns with the whales' peak activity, offering unparalleled opportunities to observe them in their natural habitat. Thick fog blankets the historical Karahisar Castle in Afyon, Karahisar in Turkey, creating a fascinating atmosphere. Photography enthusiasts flocked to the high points of the city to immortalize the unique view. Karahisar Kalesi is a castle built around 1350 BC by the Hittite on top of an extinct volcano situated in the city. Turkey's breathtaking landscape once again unveiled its natural and historical treasures. Still to come on DD India News Hour. Mexican immigrants return home from the US for Christmas holidays. Know why the future of Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's premiership is hanging in the balance. Albania banning TikTok for a year, citing growing violence among teens.
I'm on a quest to explore the history of Goa. a land steeped in diverse and intersecting cultures and traditions.
I think this is one of my favorite pieces of art in the city.
Here, influences from multiple faiths coalesce in beautiful ways. From religious sites to charming villages and vibrant streets. Watch Postcards from Goa on National Geographic.
Welcome back. You're watching Lead India News Hour with me, Munmun Bhattacharya. A recap of the headlines. On the second day of his visit, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi to meet Kuwaiti leadership to chalk out a roadmap for a futuristic partnership. US President Joe Biden signs funding bill into law averting a government shutdown. Ukraine hits Russia with 9/11 style attack on high-rise buildings in Kazan. Massive fire erupts. US carries out series of airstrikes against Houthis in Yemen. Attack comes hours after the Houthis fired a ballistic missile at Israel. And in cricket, India clinched under-19 Women's Asia Cup title after beating Bangladesh by 41 runs in Kuala Lumpur. Now, the latest in a string of more intense aerial assaults in the almost 3-year-long Russia-Ukraine conflict. Kyiv launched a significant drone attack on the Russian city of Kazan on Saturday, 1,000 kilometers from the border. 2 drones hit a 37-story apartment complex. Alongside the drones that hit the apartment block, causing damage to a skyscraper, but no casualties. 3 were shot down and 3 were suppressed by air defense systems. Despite the rarity of intrusions inside Russian territory thus far, Ukrainian drones have previously targeted Kazan and the nearby oil-rich area of Tatarstan. Earlier, Russian Civil Aviation Authority temporarily closed the Kazan International Airport, but later it reopened on Saturday amid the threat posed by Ukrainian drones. My colleague Jessica Taneja now joins us for more on this. Jessica, the attack in the Russian city of Kazan by Ukrainian drones remind one of the dramatic 9/11 attacks. What do you make of the escalation?
Well, shutting down the airport, one of the busiest airports, for instance, in Russia right now is Kazan, and that was certainly a very difficult decision for the authorities back there, but it was soon opened earlier this morning. Given the kind of situation we've seen right now in Kazan has obviously been in response to what happened in Kyiv when the Russian strikes had taken down, a building complex wherein one individual is said to have been reported to have died and many others have been injured. So this counter-strike in Kazan certainly has been a little difficult time for the Russian army as well, because Kazan's about 800 miles off the mainland from Kyiv. Certainly has raised eyebrows as to how this attack was allowed to take place. For example, because Kazan is home to a very multicultural society, so to say, and the BRICS summit was also held in Kazan. That's the kind of ethnic importance also the city of Kazan holds, Munmun.
Yes, Jessica, also, this comes when Russian President Vladimir Putin had signaled openness to talks with Ukraine without preconditions. So does a temporary sort of a truce look likely or unlikely with Trump returning to the White House soon?
Well, Trump would want to address and bring about a peace deal. That would be the first thing he'd want to do, both in the Middle East as well as the fighting we've seen between Russia and Ukraine ever since the conflict began in 2022. Well, that peace deal or a truce of sorts that Trump has proposed even initially during his campaigning would only take shape after his swearing-in ceremony after January 20th. Still, the plan and the details of that are sketchy and some would say very preemptive. So one will have to wait on how that pans out, Manman. But with what we do know, that a truce or a peace deal is likely. You heard from the Russian president, when he held his annual press conference, which was about 4 hours long, interacting not just with the media, the Russian media, but also ordinary citizens with their grievances. And one thing did strike out from that entire interaction, which they had with the Russian premier, was the fact that there has to be an end to this conflict because it is hurting economies, it is hurting geoeconomics, and certainly changing the calculus for the whole world when it comes to understanding what exactly is happening, to see the kind of impact they do back home and back on their economy. You look at the countries in the global south, they're already troubled with the after effects of COVID. They've barely recovered. And now they are sort of, bearing the brunt of two wars, not just in the Middle East, and also now Russia and Ukraine, which continues to drag for longer than it would. The grains export were halted. See the kind of impact the consumers face because of continuation of such conflicts in not just their neighborhood, but very far away from their geo-economic activity, but ends up impacting not just the neighborhood, but the entire region at large.
Yes. We'll leave it at that. Jessica Thaneja reporting from New Delhi. Thousands of Mexican immigrant workers, undeterred by the looming threat of deportation under President-elect Donald Trump, made their way back to Mexico for the year-end holidays. More than 20,000 immigrants on Thursday gathered in Nuevo Laredo to form a caravan traveling over 1,000 kilometers to avoid the dangers of criminal groups preying on them during the journey. Despite the political tension between the U.S. and Mexico, these immigrants returned to their hometowns, including Jalpan de Serra in Querétaro, where they were warmly welcomed by local residents in anticipation of Christmas celebrations. This mass return occurs as the incoming Trump administration prepares to implement its controversial deportation plans. Lara Trump, a daughter-in-law of President-elect Donald Trump, announced she is no longer in the running to replace outgoing Senator Marco Rubio. Rubio is set to resign as he assumes the role of Secretary of State in the Trump administration. Speculation swirled around Lara Trump, a key Republican National Committee figure, as a potential successor. However, after careful thought and encouragement, she stepped aside, hinting at a big announcement coming in January. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, tasked with selecting Rubio's replacement, had previously noted significant interest in the role, with a decision expected early next year. Married to Eric Trump, Lara emphasized her passion for public service, leaving her next steps eagerly anticipated. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump has appointed Mark Burnett, the mastermind behind The Apprentice, as the special envoy to the United Kingdom. Burnett, a 64-year-old British native who revolutionized television with hits like Survivor and Shark Tank, will now step into global diplomatic arena. The move follows Britain's announcement of Peter Mandelson as its new ambassador to the U.S., signaling intensified efforts to strengthen ties and avoid a trade war amid global tensions. Trump, known for his flair for the unexpected, emphasized Burnett's mission to boost trade, investment, and cultural exchanges. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump criticized the unjust costs for the U.S. ships using the Panama Canal and threatened that the U.S. would reassume control of the canal if it felt that Panama wasn't honoring the terms of a 1977 treaty regarding the waterway's legal status. The treaty signed between the United States and Panama brought a significant shift in global maritime power. The agreement granted Panama control over the Panama Canal that was initially constructed by the U.S. It marked a major turning point in Panama's sovereignty and international relations. Trump also hinted at China's growing influence around the canal, a worrying trend for American interests as U.S. businesses depend on the channel to move goods between the Atlantic and the Pacific Oceans. In Canadian politics, the future of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's leadership now hangs in the balance as he faces a prolonged political crisis, prompting a cabinet reshuffle amid growing turmoil. The reshuffle follows the surprise resignation of Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland and rising tensions within his party. Adding to his troubles, NDP leader Jagmeet Singh has announced plans for a no-confidence motion, while Trudeau's own party member Chandra Arya is urging him to step down.
After finding himself in the political battle of his life, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau shook up his cabinet on Friday, making changes to one-third of his team as political turmoil threatens his leadership. In this cabinet reset, 8 new ministers were appointed to replace those in the 35-member cabinet who have announced they will not seek re-election. 4 current ministers were reassigned to new responsibilities. Newly appointed ministers defended Trudeau's leadership.
As I was saying, politics is about choices. Very often those are difficult choices. I think the Prime Minister was quite clear that he has a choice that he's reflecting on.
The reshuffle came at the end of a chaotic week in Ottawa, triggered by the surprise resignation of Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland, who had clashed with Prime Minister Trudeau over Trump's threats to impose sweeping tariffs on Canadian imports. The key question now is how Trudeau will react to his new team, especially given the widespread criticism that he is overly reliant on the advice of his political advisers, often heeding their counsel more than that of his own caucus.
There has been a lot of criticism that he is unduly reliant on the advice, or he heeds the advice of his political advisors far more than he heeds the advice of his caucus. Like the MPs, when MPs go to Ottawa, they expect to have some say, and then they find out that they don't really have some say because so much of the advice is being given by his advisors.
Trudeau's hold on power is in jeopardy after new Democratic Party leader Jagmeet Singh announced plans to introduce a motion of no confidence in the Trudeau-led minority government next year. If the NDP withdraws its support, it could be the final blow to Trudeau. After Trudeau's ally Jagmeet Singh's NDP announced plans to support a no-confidence motion, his own party member Chandra Arya wrote to him urging him to step aside. In the letter to Trudeau, Arya wrote, and I quote, "With all parties united to vote on a motion of no confidence, I believe it is time for you to step aside as a leader of the Liberal caucus immediately." Unquote. This has added to the uncertainty surrounding the future of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's leadership in the country. Bureau Report, DD India.
Albania announced a one-year ban on TikTok, the popular short video app, following the killing of a teenager last month that raised fears over the influence of social media on children. The ban, part of a broader plan to make schools safer, will come into effect early next year, Prime Minister Adi Rama said after meeting with parents' groups and teachers from across the country. Several European countries, including France, Germany and Belgium, have enforced restrictions on social media use for children. In one of the world's toughest regulations targeting big tech, Australia approved in November a complete social media ban for children under 16. Still to come on DD India News Hour. India lost dense forests and gained tree cover, says a government report. And India to take on the West Indies in a 3-match women's ODI series starting today. Also, Christmas celebrations are spreading holiday cheer across the globe.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome Welcome back. You're watching Lead India News Hour with me, Munmun Bhattacharya. India's total forest and tree cover has increased to 25.17% in 2023 from 24.62% as per the latest India State of Forest Report 2023. The forest cover has minimally increased compared to tree cover in the country. Meanwhile, first-time trees grown under agroforestry have also been covered. States that added forests and tree covers are Chhattisgarh, UP, Odisha, Rajasthan and Jharkhand, and states which reduced its forest and tree covers are Madhya Pradesh, Karnataka, Nagaland, Bihar and Tripura. The report estimates of growing stock, the extent of trees outside forests, mangrove cover, bamboo resources and assessment of forest carbon stock. The World Health Organization has praised India for making significant progress in reducing malaria cases and deaths, especially in states where malaria is more common. This achievement was highlighted in WHO's World Malaria Report 2024. According to that report, malaria cases in India dropped from 6.4 million in 2017 to around 2 million in 2023, a huge 69% reduction. Malaria-related deaths also fell significantly from 11,100 in 2017 to 3,500 in 2023, marking a 68% decrease. WHO acknowledged the vital role of India's community health workers, most of whom are women. These workers have been instrumental in bringing down malaria cases and deaths by reaching people in remote areas. The report also noted that India has officially exited the high burden to high impact group this year, thanks to the considerable progress in reducing malaria in its high risk states. Time now for all the sports action. India clinched the Under-19 Women's Asia Cup title after beating Bangladesh by 41 runs in Kuala Lumpur on Sunday. Batting first, India relied on opener Jeet Trisha's 52-run knock to post a total of 117 runs on board. Mithila scored 17 runs for the Indian side and hammered 2 boundaries in the final over of India's innings. In reply, Bangladesh could only manage 76 runs in their 20 overs before succumbing to the Indian bowlers. For India, Ayushi Shukla took 3 wickets while Sonam Yadav and Parunika Sisodia took 2 wickets each. And my colleague Gaurav Kumar now joins us from the newsroom. Gaurav, how did India manage to crush the other side in Kuala Lumpur?
Yeah, Munmun, first of all, I would like to say that's a very good morning for the Indian cricket fans who woke up to watch this match, and really the way Indian team has played, they have shown the talent and from the very grassroots level. So if we talk about today's match, India was totally confident on their note, and they have done their homework very confidently. After losing the toss when they were batted, they strongly they made the runs, and they have posted a 117 run on the scoreboard. So it was a really good show by Gongoli Tricha also. She played a wonderful inning, not in this only match, but overall all the tournament in the Asia Cup. She's totally made 159 runs. So she totally dominated against the Bangladesh's women under 19. So we can say that this team is showing their, whatever talent they have shown, it will going to in future them in the coming future. If we talk about the overall performance of the Indian under-19 women's team, they've superbly done their duty, because if we see, we go to the group stages, they have beaten Pakistan, they have beaten Bangladesh also earlier in the Super 8 stage, and when they have faced Sri Lanka in the semi-finals, they have done the superb job this team have done. So overall, this team has done a superbly job, and they are they have shown the talent. What can they can do when it's come to their strength. Munmun.
Gaurav, so now the Indian women cricketers are champions of Asia. What does this victory really mean for the future of women's cricket in India?
See, if we talk about the future of Indian women cricket team, it's really very bright, because nowadays we can see that WPL, the Women's Premier League, is also there, because BCCI is more promoting women cricketers. And if we talk about the senior team, today they have a match against West Indies, which is going to be played in Vadodara. Earlier they have defeated West Indies in the T20 series, where they have confidently win the series with a margin of 2-1. So all these things are showing that India is putting more and more, coming more and more harder on the women's surface. On the if we talk about women cricketers, they have been given a good platform, not only for the on the BCCI roadshow, but also on the other side. If we talk about the WPL, as I have already said, so there are many platforms are there for the Indian women team where they can perform. And if we talk about this young talent, definitely this is going to in future their talent.
We'll leave it at that. Gaurav reporting from the newsroom. Indian women are all set to face West Indies for the first one-day match at the Kotambi Stadium in Vadodara in Gujarat on Sunday. The women in blue defeated the West Indies side in the recently concluded T20 International Series 2-1 to register their first series win in the format at home since 2019. India is hoping that captain Harmanpreet Kaur will return to action after missing the last two T20 matches due to a knee niggle. On the other side, West Indies will be boosted as Deandra Doughton is set to feature in her first ODI in more than 2 years. In a big blow, all-rounder Stephanie Taylor is out of the complete tour. Hayley Matthews will continue to lead the West Indies team. Let's now take a look at highlights from the half-pipe competition at the FIS Free Ski World Cup. Chinese half-pipe star Eileen Gu won a record 17th World Cup title at Copper Mountain in Colorado on Saturday. The 21-year-old Gu took an early lead with an opening score of 90.5 on her first run. This victory marked her 14th in a row and record-setting 17th of all time. On the men's side, American Alex Ferreira was back on top at Copper with a winning score of 94.75 on his second run, the highest score awarded throughout the competition. Ferreira earned his 10th World Cup win, beating Canada's Brendan Mackay and compatriot Nicolas Goiper, who took second and third place respectively. In football, Alexander Sørloth scored in stoppage time to give Atletico Madrid a 2-1 comeback victory over Barcelona on Saturday. This win lifted Atletico to the top of the La Liga table with 41 points, marking their 12th consecutive victory across all competitions. They are now 3 points ahead of Barcelona. Barcelona were the better team in the first half, with Pedri scoring in the 30th minute after a brilliant run into the box. Atletico equalized when Rodrigo de Paul capitalized on a poor clearance from Marc Casado, finishing from the edge of the box. Sørloth then sealed the win with a first-time strike 6 minutes into stoppage time, converting a deep cross from Nahuel Molina. Christmas festivities are in full swing across the globe, with unique celebrations spreading holiday cheer. Santas are bringing smiles in a unique way. India's public broadcaster Prasar Bharati has recently launched Waves, entering the field of OTT platforms. Waves provides a complete infotainment ecosystem to digital media and OTT audiences. If you also want great content for free, then download Waves today. That's all in this edition of DD India News Hour, but do share your thoughts with us in the news of the day. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. This is Munmun Bhattacharya from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour. Namaskar.